Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a seriously fascinating journey into a conceptual universe where ancient wisdom collides right with the frontiers of modern science. We're going to unpack a master research paper by independent researcher Gautam titled Prana-Tattva, the triple body theory of light and the Nabhi-Gateway cosmological matrix. This manuscript attempts something incredibly ambitious. It sets out to build a rigorous theoretical framework that directly bridges ancient Vedic epistemology with modern quantum dynamics. Get ready, because we're about to look at everything from the sunlight hitting your skin to your own body's metabolic processes in a completely different way.
Okay, let's dive into this by starting with a fundamental question that the author uses to challenge the very bedrock of conventional physics. What if light is actually way more than just an electromagnetic wave and a particle? You know, traditional science kind of boxes radiance strictly into those two categories, but the premise we're exploring today asks us to suspend that limitation for a minute and consider a much more complex, multidimensional reality where light literally carries the blueprint of life itself. So, to really wrap our heads around how this works, we need to look at the absolute core concept of the paper, Prana-Tattva. This is a theoretical framework synthesized by the author, who identifies as a Rishi-Scientist. Basically, that means he's operating out of an independent research wing in West Bengal, India, and blending spiritual sage wisdom right alongside the rigorous scientific method. By merging traditional Vedic philosophy with modern quantum mechanics, this framework seeks to completely redefine cosmic and biological energetics. It presents a model where the universe isn't just this empty, cold vacuum filled with dead matter, but a highly organized, conscious system. To make sense of all this, our explainer is going to follow a quick 5-part roadmap. First, the Prana-Tattva framework, then the 3 bodies of light, broadcasting the cosmic seeds, the absolute navel gateway, and finally, we'll wrap up by exploring vital gravitation. Let's get started. All right, Section 1, the Prana-Tattva framework, and how it steps way beyond conventional physics. While classical physics is super focused on the observable electromagnetic spectrum, this thesis proposes a totally redefined cosmic blueprint, using a mathematical coordinate system called the K7 master logic, which basically acts as the geometric rulebook for this whole theory. The paper unifies concepts that are usually kept in completely separate boxes. We're talking about linking cosmic dynamics out in the solar system directly to biological digestion in your stomach, all tied together by quantum consciousness. It is a bold, unified model for sure. Moving right along to Section 2, the 3 bodies of light, also known as Sukshma Vigyan. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the framework introduces this radical idea that light isn't just a flat phenomenon. It's actually a multidimensional hierarchy broken into 3 distinct bodies, cascading from the unseen all the way down to the physical. At the very base level, you've got the causal body, or Karana-Sharira. The paper describes this as static intelligence, essentially the primordial source frequency, or the absolute seed of luminance. Above that sits the subtle body, or Sukshma, which acts as an informational wave function governing quantum information transfer. And finally, descending right down into our measurable reality, we have the physical body, or Sthula. That's the quantifiable photon, the visible color spectrum that classical optics can actually measure and interact with. Next up is Section 3, broadcasting the cosmic seeds, known as the Sota-putra phenomenon. So if light actually contains this deep, hidden intelligence, how does it get to us? Well, the paper models the sun as an active, conscious broadcaster of these causal light seeds across the cosmos, rather than just a giant thermonuclear furnace. The author uses a specific term for this mechanism, the Sota-putra phenomenon. The etymology here is key to really grasping the concept. Sota refers to the stream of energy originating from the solar source, which is metaphorically framed as the father. Putra translates to progeny, representing the biological life that manifests across the planets. Essentially, this theory suggests that the entire universe operates as a massive, broadcasted quantum phenomenon, sending life-coded information across space. Let's move to and see how this builds, step by step, from a cosmic broadcast all the way down to your dinner plate. First, the sun broadcasts these solar sutras. Think of them as digital blueprints of organic life. In step 2, these are moderated by lunar fields in a process called samrishmi, effectively cooling and polarizing them into digestible seeds of life. Step 3 happens right here on Earth, where terrestrial crops and vegetation absorb those moderated seeds. And finally, in step 4, human beings consume those crops and our metabolism gets to work transmuting that cosmic energy. When we eat those harvested crops, we aren't just taking in calories. According to the paper, we're literally ingesting stored solar seeds. The manuscript outlines a rigorous 7-stage biochemical progression that kicks off inside the body. This digestion progresses through stages starting from rasa and moving all the way to shukra or ojas. Ultimately, this incredibly complex, metabolically driven transmutation process generates the vital generative fluids required to sustain our biological life. It's a pretty wild way to look at breakfast. Which brings us to Section 4, the absolute navel gateway, or the Nabi singularity. Okay, we've traced the cosmic seeds from the sun down to human digestion, but the paper actually theorizes a much more direct link. We all know the biological function of the navel, right? During our embryonic stage in the womb, the umbilical cord provides absolute sustenance and oxygenation through gross fluid transfer. But the paper theorizes a profound evolutionary function that kicks in after birth. Postnatally, it argues that this conduit doesn't just shut down, it shifts. It changes from absorbing physical fluids to absorbing subtle quantum solar waves, acting as a continuous zero-point gateway for cosmic prana, or life energy, to enter the body directly. And this brilliantly illustrates the core thesis of the paper. Your body is essentially an antenna. As stated right in the manuscript, the navel functions as a high-frequency transducer, converting subtle cosmic vibrations into biological vitality. So the navel isn't just a leftover scar from birth. In this framework, it's a highly active, metaphysical transducer that keeps you energetically tethered to the solar system. The theoretical deduction made here is actually quite absolute. The author argues that without this primary inflow of cosmic prana, entering specifically through the Nabi matrix, your navel, your normal, gross metabolic processes, like just digesting food at the cellular level, simply wouldn't be enough to sustain homeostasis. Without this invisible vital energy constantly flowing in, the whole system would just collapse. And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, exploring vital gravitation and the K7 matrix. Let's pull all these threads together. We've looked at the triple-bodied light framework and the Nabi singularity. It all culminates in this fundamental view of reality. The paper states that the synthesis of Prana-Tattva and light physics proves that existence operates as a unified field of consciousness and energy, meaning everything is connected, not just by physical mass, but by intelligent design and frequency. So, the crucial point is how this redefines gravity itself. We're all taught Newtonian gravitation, where the universe is governed solely by gross physical forces, huge objects pulling on smaller objects. But Palatrail proposes this concept of vital gravitation. In this view, biological organization isn't random at all. It's a meticulously calculated transmission of subtle solar energy, aligned perfectly with those K7 mathematical coordinates we mentioned earlier. It's a subtle pull of life-sustaining energy rather than just a crude pull of physical mass. Which leaves us with a truly mind-expanding concept to ponder based on this framework. If the universe isn't just cold matter, but is actually pulled together by vital gravitation, transmitting seeds of light from the sun straight into the center of your physical body, how is your biological antenna tuning into the cosmic broadcast right now? Are you receiving the signal clearly? It's a fascinating lens through which to view our place in the cosmos. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep seeking and keep learning.